It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. A Seymour Putter's Masters update after nearly losing his right leg 2 years ago in a car accident and playing his first competitive round in over 500 days. Five-time Masters champion Tiger Woods shot a 1-under-71 first round. South Korean Sung Jae Im leads the tournament at 5 under. Aussie Cameron Smith is at 4 under. 4 golfers tied at 3 under, including Dustin Johnson. 2 more coaches have been added to Brian Flores' amended complaint, in which Flores is suing the NFL for racial discrimination. The lawyers for Ray Horton, a former Titans assistant who interviewed for the team's head coaching job in 2016, claims he was given a completely sham interview done only to comply with the Rooney Rule. That's their words. Additionally, Mike Mularkey, who got the job, said in a 2020 podcast that Titans ownership told him he was going to get the job before the interview process was completed with all candidates. Meanwhile, the Titans said in a statement that they performed a, quote, thoughtful and competitive process fully in keeping with NFL guidelines and our own organizational values. 49ers have agreed to terms with former Titans wide receiver Marcus Johnson. Those terms not yet released. Nashville Predators rallied to a 3-2 win over the Senators in Ottawa. Roman Josi posted a goal and 2 assists. Currently holds the franchise record for the most points in a single season with 86. Nuggets beat the Grizz 122-109. Reds defeated the Braves 6-3 in the season opener. Be first pitch of 6:20 tonight in Atlanta between the Reds and the Braves. Also, Durham defeated Nashville 6-3 at First Horizon Park, ending the Sounds their second straight loss. Game 4 of their series tonight. First pitch set for 6:35. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. The weather outside, I don't know what that is.
I ain't got a clue either, Jay.
All I know is I don't feel very good.
Did you need to stay home?
No, not like that. Just playing havoc. Just playing havoc with, you know.
I've already had the stomach flu, whatever this thing was. Okay, all right. I come back Monday.
Well, I'm going to blame you for giving it to me for a week if I get it now.
No, I was out of the studio. I was out, and I was down, and I came back better. You come back better on Monday.
You were sick one day.
I don't think it hit me.
You were feeling rough.
Yeah, I was feeling rough that day. I was. I'm going to be real.
I just don't know what the weather is.
Okay. All right.
I think it's just messing with me.
It always messes with you, Jay. Because you know why? It's Ferocious Friday. And we're going to choose some violence probably at some point today.
I would imagine we are.
Yeah, why not, man? Why? Yeah,
because that's what we do.
It's the thing. It's the guy.
That's Ramon Foster. Jonathan Schaefer is the man behind the glass. I'm Jason Martin.
That's Mr. Schaefer to you.
Only when he does his update. Not at the top of the hour either.
Okay. You got to earn
very selective.
Or if I go on a rant.
Mike Ginnitti of Spotrac next hour.
Yeah.
Mike Keith in the third hour. And Kevin Simon will join us in the final hour of the show. Worked in the Cowboys organization for a while. Worked with the Vols as well. We spent a good chunk of time with him in the orange and white game last year. Had a good time with him. He has a lot of stories and a lot to say.
Yes, indeed, man. Looking forward to that conversation. Should be pretty good, Jay. Should be pretty good. It's Friday, man. It's finally Friday. I felt like this week, though, blew by. I don't know. It's just like we jumped on Friday, like out of nowhere. And I'm okay with that, Jason.
Me too. Definitely. Tiger Woods went under yesterday. If he follows it up, then CBS is going to be happy because then he's going to be playing on Saturday and Sunday. Interesting thing that I heard yesterday that I'd never heard before. I heard from my golf coach and my pal Barney Ellery. So they say the tournament doesn't start until the back nine on Sunday at the Masters. Do you know why?
Remember how body fatigue?
No, you remember how I was lamenting yesterday, and I've done this for years if you've listened to me for any length of time, I've lamented the idea that you can't see the whole tournament because Augusta has these archaic TV rules and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could only see the back nine on Sunday many years ago. So that's why they say the tournament starts in the back nine on Sunday, because that's when people could actually watch it. The year Arnold Palmer, the famous him throwing his visor in the air.
Yeah.
All you saw was 16, 17, and 18 of that tournament on Sunday. Was the only thing that aired.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that, but it made a lot of sense when I heard it. So what they eventually they started backing it up.
Mm-hmm.
Then eventually you could see the entire back nine, and then a few years later they showed you 8. Then they showed you 7.
Yeah.
And they backed it up on the weekend to where you could actually see the leaders. In the last probably 15 groups, you got to see all of what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that, but I thought that was interesting.
Pretty interesting. You've pretty much like dug into golf in a sense also, man. It's something I'd say I got to get time for. I got to make time for and do it, but you've actually been in it, Jay, watching it, training for it, just the whole 9, right?
Yeah, I mean, golf other than football is probably the sport I enjoy watching consistently the most when it comes to like PGA Tour golf. I greatly enjoy it, as do my parents, actually. They watch it together all the time. And so now I've been taking lessons now for a little over a year. And I'm to the point now where I could probably go out and play around. But I want to feel a little bit more consistent about what I'm doing before I do it. But my goal is for next year's zone golf tournament. I'll be out there.
What's your goal? What are you trying to be, a +6, a
No,
scratch?
I mean, like there's only 10% of the golfers in the world that can break 100.
Dang.
I'd like to be in the 90 range. By the time I'm going out there, I'd like to feel like I could shoot a 90.
Yeah.
And so I'm probably another year away from feeling comfortable enough in my swing, being consistent to be able to do that.
But you got to get out there, Jay. Come on, man. It's a golf. We got a tournament coming up real soon. I need to see this swing, Jay. Come on, man. Don't do me like that.
I mean, if you're playing, I'll play with you.
I think I'm playing.
Just for fun.
Yeah, for sure. We both just embarrass each other. How about that?
Well, that's what it'll be.
I'm telling you right now, that's exactly what it's going to be.
How's that
Jackson?
any different than any other morning of the week?
My biggest problem right now is I lose the ball because
Through the
I
air?
don't know where it's going. So yesterday he's like, "Did you see that one?" And I'm like, "No, where'd it go?" He goes straight, high, perfect shot. I lost it because I just can't figure out how to follow the ball. Same thing when I've gone to PGA tournaments. I don't know where the ball's going.
Yeah.
My mind always goes high too fast. And so I miss it this way, or it's still low and it's gone up.
And
that's the thing that I really want to figure out. I was like, where's my ball going?
We got to
need
get
some
you
help to find the ball.
on the hand-eye coordination machine we had in Pittsburgh. You just tap the dots that you see on the wall and stuff. We got to get you doing that, Jay.
It's a very small ball that's moving at a high rate of speed, and you just lose it.
Oh, you know what? That's why you buy extras. That's why you go get some used balls, man, from Play It Again Sports and stuff like that, Jay. You got to just I'm bringing like 3 boxes of just extra balls, Jay, because I'm already accounting for the fact that, look, I might bust somebody's window. I'm going to lose a ball, not because I can't track it through the air. It's because I'm going to shank the heck out of it, Jason. That's why I'm going to the golf course to show, look, I'm just like you. That's all I'm doing, man. That's it. I'm there for a good time.
I want to make sure everybody else is having a good time, not getting tagged by me.
No.
Yesterday we played 2 holes. We usually play 2 holes during my lesson.
Yeah.
Yesterday got a 5-on-1 and got a 4-on-1.
What was the
one was par.
Par.
Yeah.
Okay.
One was probably a bogey, I think.
That's not bad.
No, it wasn't terrible.
Everybody got a bad day, man. It'd be all right.
But I enjoy it, and I want to get to where. I mean, I know it's a struggle, right? Like as he always says, the first 30 years are the toughest.
The first 30 years?
When it comes to golf, first 30 years are the toughest.
Well, I'm a 5-year-old then if it comes to that. A 6-year-old.
It's just one of those golf phrases. It's like, you never know. I'm probably waiting for consistency that's not going to come, but I just want to feel like my swing is such that I can replicate it without kind of losing it in the middle of the round.
Yeah, nah. I've done, man, I went and did some scrambles before when I was playing, of course, as guys have charities and stuff like that. I went out there, man. I'm talking about an Air Force Ones. I had on some khaki shorts and a polo, but Air Force Ones, didn't have a golf bag, didn't have golf balls, didn't have any idea on what golf was in general. No tees to hit off of. None of that, Jay. None of that, okay? I borrowed some golf clubs from the clubhouse. Trash, okay? I bought some golf balls at the clubhouse, overly expensive for no reason. I ended up buying some gear that I thought, you know what? I'm going to get into golf big time. Waste of money, Jay. You know what? I had a blast. And then I also connected on a few balls and everything. Like, it was a few times they used my driver ball, or what do I call it? It's the first ball, my long ball. They used that. And then I was also getting close to the cup too whenever I was putting. I'm just for a good time. That's all we're gonna do. I'm out there like Happy Gilmore, Jay. Long as I don't disrespect the golf course, we're good. Give me a
tap it in. Tap it in.
That's all I want to do,
Tap,
man. I got worked at that golf course, but I had fun. Apparently, saying cart girl is something that gets the drinks going and flowing. I found out if you have a brew or two, that makes you play better too, Jay. Just couldn't throw that out there.
Well, it depends on who you are, but I know that many would agree with you. Or at least they think they're playing better.
See, when you have enough, Jay, you think you've had enough, but hit the clubhouse, get something to eat and drink before you hit the road.
You need to stop drinking before you start asking which one of these balls do I need to hit, because you're seeing 4 of them on the tee.
It's so cool that you be like, which ball are we using? And I never say mine. Like, there's absolutely none of that. I tried, of course, to win. It's usually on the par 3 where you can get a hole in one. You win a car. You win some vacation. You want to talk about competing for that one, though? Jay, I'm all about it. I go to Top Golf and have a good time there. I ding it sometimes, man, and other times, Jay, it's probably going to go into Bay 23.
Yeah, that's the other things. I don't want to hit somebody either. I think I'm to the point where I don't feel like that's going to happen anymore.
Okay, so see, if you golf with me, assume all precaution, okay? That's all I'm going to tell you. Somebody's probably going to get hit, and I'm hoping that a car, like, I don't hit a car driving by. That's all I ever hope for. Like, I will zone in when we're close to, like, the road or something like that where the ball can really shank and go on the highway or something. Other than that, man, I'm out there for a good time. And to tell some stories and to hear people tell lies. That's all I want to do. I want to hear that. Yeah, let's go do that, Jay. You golfing with me. You okay?
I was hearing music playing. I was like, what's going on?
That's not mine.
My phone was playing music.
It's not mine this time.
Apparently the music I was listening to on the way in, the phone
decided
it was still happening.
Because you need to jam out. What was you playing? Some Project Pat?
Yeah, that's it. Bubba Sparks.
Bubba Sparks. Some Yellow Wolf, man. What were you on this morning?
It was Father John Misty, actually.
Okay.
615. Yeah, I didn't think you'd know. 615-737-1045 is the telephone number. 737-1045.
No idea who that is.
Yeah, you shouldn't. It's not something you should know.
Okay. No idea. But I'd probably listen to you if I was riding with you.
So we'll talk more about Tiger during the course of the show. We'll talk about
Wood, y'all.
We'll talk about everything happening in the NFL.
Yeesh.
Malarkey. I'm gonna just ask you when we come back what you think of this, because I heard it and I didn't listen to all the audio, but I saw the story come out and I just started to roll my eyes. I was just like, oh man, this is the last thing anybody wants to talk about right here.
Yeah. Also, Vrabel was on Rich Eisen yesterday, and Vrabel got a way of doing stuff in his interviews, man. I thought it was very interesting. Him and Rich Eisen kind of went back a little bit, but he's a Michigan man too, so.
So we'll hit some of that stuff when we come back. Again, telephone number to reach is 737-1045, off and running. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Hey, LASIKMD.com. I want you to go there and be the next one of our listeners. And now what's increasingly a longer line over there scheduling a free LASIK consultation to see whether or not LASIK's right for you. If you're wearing glasses and contacts and it's just not what you want anymore, at least for a while. And now, of course, over the last few years, maybe you've gotten used to having that fog problem on your lenses because of masks and all that. Luckily, we're not having to do that anymore, but it's just an extra strain. It's an extra hassle. It's something else. Well, LASIK is something else. With me, I'm now testing at 2015 in both eyes. Left eye, I wasn't even sure I could ever get to 2020. That's why I couldn't wear contacts. I tried, but if I did it more than like once or twice a week, I would get nauseated because of how I felt, just because you couldn't see quite right, because I have a pretty big astigmatism issue in my left eye. But 2015 out of both eyes. Now, I don't know if everybody can expect that, but they can expect great results because of how far LASIK has come. The advancement is unbelievable right now. And LASIK MD is offering a low price guarantee. It's where I got it done. They've done over 1 million of these. My doctor, Dr. Jason Greenberg's done over 80,000. He should do yours. He did a fantastic job, and that entire staff over there is A1. They're going to match the competitor's price, take off an additional discount if you find it better somewhere else, but it's free to find out whether or not you're the right candidate for it. Then they'll sit you down, and they'll find the best way to make it affordable for you. It's never been more affordable, as a matter of fact, than it is right now. It's also a life-changing, daily life-changing experience. You should do it just like I did. LASIKMD.com. Schedule your free LASIK consultation today. No reason to wait. Again, LASIKMD.com. Is this part of Mike Golick's playlist? It's a version of Monsters and Men, I think.
Wake Me Up, Avicii.
Who?
Avicii.
Is that the DJ that I think passed a while back? I thought
that would be correct.
Yeah,
yes.
Avicii. Yeah,
global. Yeah,
that's a repurposed version. I think of it in a Monsters and Men song.
Yeah, dude, big time. Was big time.
So Vrabel talked to Rich Eisen, and he was Mike Vrabel, pretty much.
Yeah, he was.
We're going to have some clips of that for you if you haven't heard it here in just a couple of minutes. And then there's the Malarkey story.
Mm-hmm.
And I think more than anything else, which clip do you have, Shaver?
Malarkey on the podcast.
Okay, here's Mike Malarkey on the Steelers. What was it? Steelers.
Centric.
It was a podcast back in 2020.
Yeah.
Long before there was any kind of a Brian Flores lawsuit or anything else. Acknowledging something difficult. It was the Steelers Realm podcast, October of 2020. Former Titans coach Mike Malarkey. Here is some of that.
I've always prided myself in doing the right thing in this business, and I can't say that's true about everybody in this business. It's a very cutthroat business, and a lot of guys will tell you that. But I allowed myself at one point when I was in Tennessee to get caught up in something I regret, and I still regret it. But the ownership there, Amy Adams-Strunk and her family came in and told me I was going to be the head coach in 2016 before they went through the Rooney Rule. And so I sat there knowing I was the head coach in 16 as they went through this fake hiring process, knowing a lot of the coaches that they were interviewing, knowing how much they prepared to go through those interviews, knowing that everything they could do and they had no chance of getting that job. And actually the GM, John Robinson, he was in on the interview with me. He had no idea why he's interviewing me, that I have the job already. And I feel, I regret that's because I pride myself in my kids first that they do the right thing. And I always said that to the players. And here I am, the head guy, not doing it. And I've regretted that since then. It was a wrong thing to do. I'm sorry I did that. But it was not the way to go about it. Should have interviewed like everybody else and got hired because of the interview, not early on. So that's probably my biggest regret.
That was Mike Malarkey back in 2020 saying that the Titans, from Amy Adams-Strunk on down, said, hey, you're going to be the coach prior to the Rooney Rule. Yeah. So he has joined as part of the Brian Flores lawsuit against the NFL. And Steve Wilkes, I think, is the other one.
Mm-hmm.
The former
Steve Wilkes
Arizona
and Ray Horton.
Yeah.
Ray Horton.
Mon, how do you feel about this?
How I feel about it? I went on 3HL yesterday. They asked me to come on my weekly spot, and number one, I want to preach about it. It's just in general, I do see more of the flaws of the Rooney Rule too. It is it's a shame in how people are using it. It's a shame in what is actually done as far as you can't force somebody. I'll say this for sure. You can't force somebody to hire somebody that they just don't want to at the time. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, German, it don't matter. You can't force them to hire somebody that you don't want to. The process in which it goes about and the exposure of people that they use. I said this yesterday. More than anything, I think there needs to stop being a recycling of the same people. We think about it. All right? Like look at Peterson right now that went from friggin' Philly to the Jaguars, and probably he's qualified for that job. But there's a lot of those rotating jobs, like McCarthy coming back around the second time, and even after 1 year, they were ready to get rid of McCarthy already. So let's do something else. I commend the Dolphins for hiring McDaniels. I commend Minnesota for having a new hire. Chicago having a new hire. I think there's a couple other coaches. Philadelphia hiring their guy last year and stuff like that. That's the first step as far as making these changes to say, look, we're going to look outside of the box because it's comfortable to go with the people you've been around for 30 plus years. How do we know what a Sean McVay is going to do without hiring a Mike Tomlin who was that young? You see what I'm saying? That's outside of the box. And then if we don't get a Sean McVay, who at 34 years old, in which we all kind of side-eye a little bit like, dang, I'm about as old as he is at the time. You know what I'm saying? Then we don't get McDaniels and we don't get all these other coaches. Whereas the opportunity as far as age, as far as experience, as far as color is something that has to be broken down when it comes down to the hiring process of the way we view people in general. Now, when it comes to the color and minority situation of it all, for me, Jay, you know me. Shafe, you know me. The listeners, if you've heard me or met me in public, you know, look, I'm a rap with anybody. We sit down, we're going to have a conversation. I'm sitting at friggin' a window replacement company the other day, and a tow truck guy. I got his card at home. We sat there and talked for about 40 minutes. I'm sitting on the sidewalk waiting for my wife's truck to get finished for a new windshield, and he and I sat out there on the sidewalk, talked for over 40 minutes about every friggin' thing. No correlation. He's from a different walk of life. I'm from a different walk of life. We sat there and we talked. And in that's just me. I'm a people guy. And I know some people just aren't. I know a lot of people of the mindset, look, I'm only going to do what's comfortable with me. Well, that's the problem too. I think that's the problem when it comes down to the owners a little bit. You go with what you're comfortable with. You go with who you communicate with also. That's the other part. A lot of these owners and front office guys, they get in their car service, they go to the hotel, they go to the meetings, they go back home. They go back to work, we're in their facilities and talk to the same people, never stepping outside of the box when it comes to building relationships. I think that's huge. As far as just exposure and understanding of people, not just races, understanding of just people in general. So for me, when it comes down to this malarkey conversation dropping, it's the same thing again. Whether it was the Titans or whether it was the Raiders or whether it's the Cowboys, we think they're going to get Sean Payton next year. It's about the fairness of the process. And even if it's you got a guy already, even if you have them, at least honestly listen to the rest of the interviews to where it's not just I'm fulfilling a rule. Like, what if you interview Joe Black, who's damn good in the interview process and actually can help the guy that you want to hire? Make it to where, hey, Sean Payton, I need you to bring him on board with us because this guy is a freaking genius when it comes down to what he know and can do in this league. I told you for a while back, like Byron Leftwich doing this, we knew he was able to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, I like dealing with people that don't care where good ideas come from. So when it comes down to the malarkey conversation about him knowing he was going to get the job, if the Titans want to go that route, fine. Is it a sham? Yeah, but you can't force them. You cannot force them to do those things. It comes down to people honestly just being exposed to more than what's around them. We need more of those things. We need to be able to, yeah, I'm a black guy. Jay, yeah, you're a white guy. I don't know what Shea Friel's behind the glass, but I love the dude, okay?
I'm beautiful. That's what I am.
There he is. So, side-eye that one real quick, Jay. But in the sense of what we got to do as a people, man, like the issue to me is I'm not tired of talking about this. I'm just tired of not seeing the change, though. That's the biggest issue to me.
So what's the change?
What's the change? It's what I said. Talk to people. Get outside of that box a little bit. Understand there is differences in people. Understand that, look, it's just because you think that this is going to look good don't mean that it's awesome pick. Like Nagy, that was a bad hire. I don't know what the look or what his credentials was as far as him getting a job, but we found out very soon that he wasn't the man for the job. I'm sure there was a bunch of people that was standing behind him and said, Chicago Bears, y'all going to make a terrible mistake in hiring him. And guess what they did? They did. The same thing with Joe Judge. From day one, when he operated the way he did in the NFL, you knew that was going to be a terrible hire. Even after the New York Giants said, yeah, he's our guy. No, he's not your guy. There's a lot of people and a lot of coaches that get jobs that are way less qualified than they actually should be simply because they look a certain way or that you preference them over somebody else. And that is the biggest issue to me. So, again, what's the fix for it? Don't get tired of having conversations with people. Don't get tired of having this conversation, too, because I said this, too. There's a lot of people, man, there's a lot of people that don't want to see change. Black, white, don't matter. But at the end of the day, you can't stop it. It's going to happen eventually at some point. So either you get on the boat with what's moving forward or you're just going to get left behind and just be a sideshow of people that don't like other people. That's my biggest thing. I said it yesterday in a joking way, man. Like in the movie Tropic Thunder, I think of what it was. No, it's the Jackie Moon movie with Will Ferrell. He's a semi-pro. ELE. Everybody love everybody. And I know that's a far stretch to say something like that, but just Dude, have a good time. We're friggin' human beings. We're animals. And I know there's a natural part of us that can be selfish, can be hateful, can be, can have envy, all of those things. But celebrate people, man. Like, I'm not tired of this happening because it has to be exposed, but it is tiring, 100%. The ownership in the NFL. I don't want them to pass some gimme to a black owner just simply because you want to have a great PR experience. I hate that crap too. I legitimately don't give me this. I think honestly the job that the Houston Texans gave to their head coach Lovey, that was a toss up. Nobody wants to coach that team like that, and then you go get a black guy who nobody expected was going to take that job or he was going to be given that job. Don't do that either. Like, give it to the people that freaking deserve it. Joe Judge probably didn't deserve to have a job in New York. Nagy probably didn't. McDaniels admitted
Nagy deserved a job.
Nagy deserved it. Well, he wasn't good enough after he got into position.
Well, first year they won the North, and he was 10-4, and they looked great. He was looking like he's going to be a coach of the year, and then it fell apart after that point.
Just the example of it. Matt Rule is enough. I mean,
I don't disagree with most of you. I'm just saying Nagy, I think, deserved a gig coming from the Andy Reid tree.
It is what it is when it comes down to it. We as a people can't force it, but the pressure of trying to evolve, Jay's gotta. Everybody consumes the sport the same way. I've been in stadiums as a player, and I've watched people in stadiums also. Forget barriers of what you look like. Big, small. So you might think you're pretty. Some might think you're ugly. Black, white, Asian, and you enjoy the game. That's the way life should be in general, man. And I'm not going to preach about it. It's tiring to consistently have this conversation and not see the change too. And maybe it comes with the generation after us or whatever it's going to be. But it's just – Malarkey helped expose it more of what the reality of the hiring process is. You've said it before, the Rooney Rule is a little bit of a sham and how it's used. I see it more and more now. I thought it was a good thing. But it's got to be some tweaks. And don't make it mandatory to do this. Like, it should just be, honestly, man, just hire good people. Heck, if I wasn't qualified for this job, I'd be gone, Jay. It's just that simple. Same for you.
Right.
I say all that to say, change won't come until we as a people kind of force that on folks to be like, look, just because that dude got dressed don't mean he's a bad dude. Just because I got a low haircut right now don't mean I'm a good guy. Like, I'm going to judge you off of my relationship with you.
So you're saying force that. How do you force that?
You just have it. Open your mind. Unlock it. Like, be comfortable being uncomfortable in situations. Like,
so you're basically, what I'm saying is
it's person to person. It's person to person to me.
The people that believe this already or that are in whatever mindset that you would like to see changed, how do you get them there?
Jay, I've been asking myself that for a while, and I'm only 36 years old, and it shouldn't be that way still. How do I get them there? It's person to person, Jay. Like, it just simply is. I wish I had the answer for you, but I don't. I'll be completely honest with you. Like I said, we've dealt with this from politics and just color, just racism being brought into the NFL. And I told people back then, I was just like, look, at the end of the day, whatever you stand for, I admire. I love it. But when it comes down to what we're doing as pros and how we treat the game and each other, just be fair in it. Like, legitimately be fair. And I know there's nepotism that happens in business. I know, look, just because you're born into certain things, you're going to be privy to a lot of stuff too. All those things register to me. I'm not dumb to think that stuff doesn't happen. But if you told me, Jay, that I had an interview at the same time that Coach Malarkey did here with the Tennessee Titans, and he knew from day one that he had the job, and I still went in there prepared like hell, got a haircut, got a new suit, flew into town, you wasted my time, then I'm going to be a little pissed off about that, Jay. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest point of all, black, white, or whoever. Like, Malarkey knew he had the job, and they still interviewed people after the fact. Are the Titans wrong for that? Hell, I don't know. It seems wrong, but he was their guy.
He was the interim guy.
He was their guy.
Who they felt like it earned the job, and so they took the tag off him. At least that's how it feels, and didn't fulfill the requirement. And I think that's the issue. It's just I don't think it's a Titans problem. I think if it's a problem, it's an NFL problem. I just don't know. I don't know what the answer is. If you tell people that are making a ton of money, you hire who you want to hire. I mean, if you run a company, you're going to hire who you want to hire ultimately anyway. Having to put them through some kind of a phony show, I don't know, encourages the right result.
It's that, a phony show. I don't operate like that. In the stuff that I've done, I've hired black people, I've hired white people, I've talked, like it's hard for me to understand how people can operate like this.
No, I understand. Like I
just been completely real with you.
What I'm saying, so that's a phony show. But what's the answer if everybody's going to hire who they want to hire anyway? If you're trying to fix that, I don't know how there's no fix for that. I'm
open for suggestions. Like I told you, I'm not tired of it. I just like the fact that it does get exposed from time to time to just back up the walls that people have to jump through and even still when you lay it out in front of folks, Jay, some just still don't see it.
What's weird is this is 2 years old.
I know.
And nobody even noticed it. It was said on the podcast. Nobody picked it up at all. It was 18 months ago.
The podcast is super small, too. Like, their crowd doesn't have much traction at all, And
I feel like one person hears it. It could blow up, though.
But the right people didn't hear it, and the right situation wasn't in front of us either. You got to think, too, in 2020, we're in the middle of a world pandemic also, so I'm sure that got suppressed by the day-to-day reporting of COVID cases and deaths and stuff like that.
That is true, but also that was like that podcast dropped 3 months after the George Floyd situation, did it not?
I mean, George Floyd probably carried the airways more than this did, and the NFL wasn't the focal point of it.
It seemed like that storyline was everywhere across society, across every business, across everything and all that. It seems like it would have actually gotten more traction during that time.
That could be true.
It's just interesting that I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's interesting that it didn't get traction.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's not like it was said yesterday for the first time. It's like, what a bombshell. It's like it's a bombshell from 18 months ago that people finally figured out.
But I think the message, of course, is still pretty much it's very much important on what he said. And I'll say this, I tip my hat to him for his morals in the coaching world, honestly getting to him. I tip my hat today. You know what, Malarkey? Good on you for actually feeling a certain way about it. And I think it's a lot of people that get numb to feeling that way too. So good on him. Sometimes you got to redeem yourself later or this comes out later. And I'm sure Malarkey won't be talking much more soon.
I know the Titans put out a statement disputing all this. And I mean, we don't know. I mean, it's one side and it's another side. Malarkey, because of the timing of this and the tone of what he's saying, I tend to believe him. I tend to buy what he's saying.
To your point, though, there was nothing going on then. This Flores case wasn't going on then.
That's why, because at the time there was nothing really.
Nobody provoked him to say it.
That's where I kind of have a hard time believing it came from nowhere. And those are saying he has an axe to grind against the organization. I don't know why the axe to grind would turn into this out of nowhere. that seems to be a little bit much.
He just dropped it and said, "Look, this is what happened." He was in no lawsuit. He was in no lawsuit, is what I'm saying.
615-737-1045. Jeremy and Alvin will lead off with your calls, and we'll continue to take your thoughts if you have them. Again, the telephone number 615-737-1045. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Here's a few questions you need to ask yourself. Is your heating system working properly? And you actually need it for the next couple of days. It's weird because it's April the 8th, but it's going to be, high 40s today. You're going to have 31-degree low, I think it's tomorrow. It's going to be pretty cold this weekend. If your heating system's not working properly, if it's over 10 years old, it might not even be providing the best possible air quality for your home anymore. It might be time to replace it. Matter of fact, I'm telling you, it probably is. And your friends at Lee Company are making that easier than ever. Call today. Take advantage of Lee Company's exceptional HVAC financing offer. You're going to receive special financing for up to 60 months. That's 5 years. Or up to $1,250 off select high-efficiency systems. Special financing up to 60 months, $1,250 off select high-efficiency systems. So you're saving $1,250 up front. save on the back end because high efficiency means that HVAC is not going to be overrunning and raising your energy costs. Call Lee Company today. Learn all about their current financing and service special offers and take advantage of this great HVAC financing offer. 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000, or visit them online at leecompany.com/promotions. Yeah, this was played at the wedding I DJ'd.
Of course. Of course, dog.
Mike Jr. This is for his sister's wedding that he is officiating. He's doing a playlist, and so he's letting us play some of that stuff today, and I'm expecting these to be fun. Let's go to Alvin in Nashville on line 2. Alvin, what's up?
How y'all doing?
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, the way I feel about the situation is, if the Titans let Malarkey know that ahead of time, I feel like that was wrong. But, I mean, if you look at it on hindsight, like, that was during the time when they fired Ken Wisenhunt and Amy Armstrong came over and took over and all that type things. And, I look at it like, they probably wanted a head coach with coaching experience. And we look at somebody like Detroit. Detroit hired a guy that used to be a football player. And you look at somebody like that, okay, I see. Okay, why did y'all hire him? I mean, he's a good motivator.
Right.
But as far as coaching, he don't know anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's somebody that got that applied for that job, they should look at something like that. Also, Ramon, let me ask you a question. I looked at Tennessee. The NCAA championship, the women's game.
Yeah.
And Candace Parker was at that game. They was talking about some beef between Gino. And
yeah.
Parker. Could you? I'm gonna hang up and listen, but could you kind of tell me about that? Because they said it was something about, I guess he disrespected Pat Summitt or something. I'm gonna hang up and listen though.
The Gino and Pat back and forth has always been a thing. Like, I don't know what specifically Gino said, but I know Candace in her interview about Gino, she pretty much said she'll never respect him. She's like, my daughter won't play with him. Anybody that I know that I can influence, their daughters won't play with him, simply because I don't know what he said about Pat or did to Pat, but her dealings with him was he pretty much disrespected Candace, I think, through the USA team, the Olympics team, where she came there, worked out, was one of the best players and everything. She's Candace Parker, and her reputation precedes her, and she was just like, she pretty much bust everybody's tail that was there, and I don't think Gino picked her for the team or she got left off.
That's right.
And,
I'm looking it up
I think with her, what she was alluding to, his riffs that he had with Pat Summitt pretty much trickled down to her, and he treated her that way too. And Candace was like, I can't respect him. Like, she is on record saying pretty much bleep you, Gino or Ariana, however you say Ariana. Like, she is anti-Gino and doesn't hold back about it. So when South Carolina beat them and she goes up to Aaliyah Boston, like hugging and smiling her, I'm pretty sure she walked by Gino and gave him the double Bud Adams. You know what I'm saying? Like, she is not a fan of Gino and does not hold back at all, simply because he didn't treat her like,
they both don't like each other.
Yeah, they both don't like each other.
And the biggest reason is because she picked Tennessee over UConn.
That goes back into it also. But what you gonna do?
I know. But I mean, what did I tell you? The stock Gino Ariema figure.
Ariema.
The one,
oh my God.
The one that's in the stores that you can always find.
Yeah.
Is condescending.
Yeah.
And then if you want to add a special gift to it, it's also just kind of being a jerk. And kind of being like super petty and super sensitive.
Yeah.
And all of those kinds of things. So, yeah, so Parker did an interview with Bleacher Report a couple of years ago, which you can find clips of, where basically she was just like, yeah, cut me from the Rio Olympic team. When she found out he was coaching in 2016, she felt like, well, this is going to get interesting. And she's taken shots at USA basketball since because of that and things like that. There's just bad blood between those two camps. And a lot of it is, well, how dare you choose
Tennessee.
So now I'm trying to find this, and I'm doing it in real time, so it's not going to be perfect right now. But there's an article written back in 2013 in Sports Illustrated. Pat Summitt on Gino Ariema feud and more in her new book. So I'm going to try and figure out what the specifics are. But the biggest thing is just those are two dominant programs.
Yes.
And unlike most situations where it's respectable, even like we saw last week with Vitello and Corbin.
Yeah.
And how they had their conversation and all that kind of stuff. Gino wasn't going to have that.
No.
Gino ran it like he was some kind of North Korean dictator.
He the man.
Or something like that in terms of how he felt about the game. And so how dare somebody choose somebody over UConn back in 2005?
Yeah.
And that's where the Candace Parker side of it came. But I'll try during the breakout to figure out where the poison
not
started
just
between
yet.
the two
Candace
of them.
goes there and wins two national championships, and everybody wanted Candace. I don't know why Gino felt like it was owed to him for Candace to go to UConn. I mean, we're talking about Pat here. Like, I know for a fact, I know my wife is not a Gino fan because of how he acted towards Pat. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just it's Crips and Bloods, it's friggin' Titans and Colts, like it's Pittsburgh, Baltimore. Like, it goes deep, but I think it got very like more personal when it came to Gino versus Pat, and how Gino kind of put the dagger in a little bit on how, you know, the way he's treated Candace. And Candace is anti-USA team, anti-UConn, anti-Gino. Not a fan whatsoever, Alvin. Like, it's pretty deep, man. It's real deep on how that actually came about. And good on Candace for standing her ground. And she went to that game just to see them lose, I'm pretty sure. When she was hugging like Aaliyah Boston and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. She said Candace is one of her idols. And that's another thing, too, that I'm sure Gino doesn't like. Aaliyah Boston lives 8 miles from UConn, and he couldn't get her. And I'm more than sure, maybe Candace has some influence on her not going there. But you can't say Don Staley's not a dog, though, of a coach. So it worked out for Aaliyah Boston, Don Staley, Candace, and not for Gino again. It's petty.
It's definitely petty, and it's kind of dirty too. Like, just looking at some of their interactions after it went south between the two of them, because for a while they were on the same side.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reading. I think it's just Summit. This is part of Summit's book. Man, it's not good.
Gino and Pat.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like, I kind of want to read some of this out loud to some of you people, but maybe we can do it. But when we come back, I want to talk about Vrabel with Rich Eisen. We're going to play some of the cuts of that and react to what the Tennessee Titans head coach told Rich Eisen. So we'll do that after the headlines, react to Vrabel. But I'm gonna try to find a way to parse this down a little bit so we can expand upon it later on in the program. Hour one down, 3 more to go. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, so if you're out there and hoping that this is going to be the year that you get yourself a home, it certainly could be, but you better have the right people on your side. Right down the street from me, people put their home on sale 2 Sundays ago. You know what happened 2 Mondays ago? It sold for twice what they paid for it. And there were a bunch of other offers on the table. Home ownership is within reach. But if you don't have the right lender, if you don't have the right person to guide you through that process, especially if it's a first-time decision, good luck. Buying a home is a huge undertaking. It can be really easy to get overwhelmed, not know where to start, but that's where everybody is when they embark on this process. If you talk with a mortgage expert, it can help you get on the right track, understand that process, and make the plan that utilizes your best options. As the Southeast's leading mortgage lender, my friends at Mortgage Investors Group are here to help you get not just any loan, but the right home loan. Their team of experts at MIG really cares. They're committed to making sure that you find yourself right online on that closing date. They're going to structure things right for you. They're going to help you realize your dream. And for some of you, that's a new home. Some of you, it might be just a better rate or a big addition to your current home. Whatever it is, they are ready this morning to make it a reality. I want you to let Mortgage Investors Group work for you. Go to migonline.com. That's migonline.com to find the office nearest you, or text MIG to 31399. That's 31399. MIG are the 3 letters. To 31399 to get pre-qualified. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan, equal housing lender, license number 109111.
It is 7:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. A Seymour Putters Masters update. Five-time Masters champion Tiger Woods, a 1-under 71 first round yesterday, really captivated the entire golf world. South Korean Sun Jae Im leads the tournament at 5 under. Aussie Cameron Smith 4 under. 4 golfers are tied at 3 under, including Dustin Johnson. They're just getting underway with the second round right now. 2 more coaches have been added to Brian Flores' amended complaint, in which Flores is suing the NFL for racial discrimination. The lawyers for Ray Horton, a former Titans assistant who interviewed for the team's head coaching job in 2016, claims he was given a, quote, completely sham interview done only to comply with the Rooney Rule, end quote. Additionally, Mike Mularkey, who got the job, said in a 2020 podcast that Titans ownership told him he was going to get the job before they had completed the interview process with other candidates. Meanwhile, the Titans said in a statement yesterday that they performed a, quote, thoughtful and competitive process fully in keeping with NFL guidelines and our own organizational values, end quote. 49ers have agreed to terms with former Titans wide receiver Marcus Johnson. Those terms have not been released. Nashville Predators rallied to earn a 3-2 victory over the Senators in Ottawa last night. Ramon Josi posted a goal and 2 assists. He currently holds the franchise record for the most points in a single season with 86, accomplishing that feat as a defenseman. Preds have won 2 in a row. 4 of their last 5 will host Florida on Saturday night. Nuggets over the Grizz, 122-109. Reds defeated the Braves in the season opener, 6-3. First pitch, 6:20 tonight at Truist Park. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 2, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, lifted up by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. They're right here in town. Allfourseasonsgarages.com is a website. Go there. The LiftMaster that I have in my garage came from them. It's where yours needs to come from as well. Tell them the one they put in my house you want that one in yours.
You mean that one.
11 years in the NFL. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, 0 years. Me, 0 years. But in spirit, I played 12.
One more to me.
That's right. 11 years in one day. At Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Yeah, I was reading the excerpt from Summit's book about Gino. It was interesting because it went from good to bad to decent to really bad to good again. Like it was like they were frenemies. It's like they were Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah. Exactly
Batman
what
and
they
the Joker
were.
almost.
Yeah. Sum it up. By the way, Deebo Samuel's out here removing 49ers icons from his IG. It's just
Time to get paid.
I think that's on my Aaron Rodgers for next week. Or players doing that.
Let's do it, man.
I think it is.
Wrong with
615-737-1045. Mike Ginnitti of Spotrac will join us in the next segment and talk to him about all this wide receiver money and everything that's going on there. Mike Vrabel was with Rich Eisen.
Man.
Was it yesterday or just earlier this week?
I think it was
Yesterday.
earlier. It was
Yesterday.
yesterday.
No, I think it was yesterday.
Okay. The 3 that you have here, Shafe, I'm going to play those. Let's play first what Mike Vrabel has to say about the future of one Arthur Juan Brown. Apparently, he's not going anywhere.
Is AJ Brown on the trade block? Mike Vrabel?
As long as I'm the head coach, I love AJ professionally, personally. I've gotten to know him well as his coach and enjoy seeing him as much as I possibly can. So, saw him here working out here earlier. Said hi. So, as long as I'm the coach here, I would want to have AJ Brown on my football team.
Of course, I mean, obviously until there's an extension, you can say whatever you want. Of course you want him to be there. We all think he is going to be there.
Yeah.
But there's nothing Vrabel said right there that's particularly earth-shattering. That's just, I really like A.J. Brown. I said hi to him today. As long as I'm the coach, I would like for him to be here.
Yeah, that's all he.
I'm sure Sean McVay would have liked Von Miller to be back too.
Yeah, 100%. I'll say this though, he gets very personal with AJ, and he's always done that.
Remember
with
they
AJ.
had the depression thing where they ran into him, and AJ kind of confided in him, and he talked about you got to listen to people. When you ask them about their day, you actually have to be willing to stand there and listen to them.
Yeah, he's always done that with AJ, man. It's almost like he treats him like one of his kids, which is good. And like I said, it's still a business. To your point, when we're talking about this extension, he's potentially going to get with the Titans, but most coaches don't do that type of stuff. I'll say that even if he's here or not, whenever he retires, their relationship I think is pretty much cemented. Coaches don't usually do that, especially NFL coaches.
Well, I mean, in terms of when Vrabel got the job and when AJ came in, he knows. I mean, they kind of came up together. AJ was responsible for a lot of success Vrabel started to have very quickly after he got here.
Yeah, and he puts a lot on him, and this is the other part. AJ is still a kid. I don't think he's 25 yet. So he's approaching them like, dog, you can do a lot of great things in this business, and he almost asks if he wants to guide him. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, he's got a lot of great things that's happened under him while he's been here. So hats off to him. That conversation was what he was supposed to say, though. If we've just been completely honest.
He's not saying anything there. I mean, it's like, hey, is AJ Brown on the trade block? Absolutely, give us a call.
Yeah,
that's not how things work.
AJ turns 25 on June 30th.
Yeah,
that's young, man. That's super young. That kid. Again, I know we've spoken about his knees and just stuff like that. But if he can stay 90% going into the season at any point in time in his career, the amount of success that's projected for him is just through the roof. Like, he's a rare talent. Like, I can admit, like, I can say that about what he is as a pro, For sure.
But, yeah, I mean, Vrabel said what I would have said, too.
Yeah.
And what any of us would have said in that scenario. I don't think he is lying. I'm just saying that doesn't necessarily mean anything either.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean a whole lot, but that's just what it is. Our guy.
Hey, we got somebody bringing it up here for us.
Guy. Q.
That's actually Q.
That's actually
We got to set up a schedule for me to go over there and start working.
How you living, man?
Eighth and Rose bringing in the good stuff today.
Bringing in the good stuff, Q.
Man, I didn't know Q was actually coming up to the studio dropping.
Man, you never know when Q gonna show up, man.
I didn't either.
Woo-hoo.
I like that he opened a box and just put an entire box in.
That's awesome.
That's my guy. He's bringing more up, man.
Oh, boy.
Shout out to our folks at 8th and Roast, man. He brought, I was like, Q, man, a couple pieces of quiche. You know what I'm saying? He brought a whole pie of quiche. Not my wife. She's taking the boys to school right now. Get it? Quiche.
Oh, my gosh.
That was my dad joke, boys. My bad. My bad. Oh, that wasn't good.
Schaefer, Mike Vrabel also talked about what he takes away from the playoff loss to Cincinnati, and he spoke about QB1.
Oh.
How productive is it for you to take a look at the film against Cincinnati, and what do you take out of that at all?
Well, we watch every game that we play. We go through them all. We go through all the cut-ups, and, like a lot of games, or every game. We know that there's going to be a lot of good in there. There's going to be a handful of bad, and there's going to be some of those things that that are going to get you beat. And turning the ball over and giving up big plays are one, basically at the top of the hit chart for us. And so, we turned the ball over offensively. We gave up a big play early, to JMart. We dove and missed a tackle there on a quick pass that changed field position. And so, we try to take as much out of every game as we possibly can.
And what do you say to those who say it's your quarterback's fault? I'm sure you hear it. What do you say?
Yeah, I think that's the easy answer. I think that there's a lot that goes into it. Ryan knows he has to take care of football, but everybody else knows that they have a job to do to provide a clean pocket. We got to run great routes, and we have to go catch the football out in front of our eyes. And those are all three things. And Ryan's got to make great decisions. So those ultimately are what leads to interceptions, not just specifically in that game, but when you turn the football over or you fumble it, chances are it's loose, or you're switching hands, or you're going to stiff arm, and the ball gets outside the framework of your body, and the second guy coming in, and so there's all ways that we can protect that guy who has the ball. He's got a responsibility, but everybody else has a responsibility as well to protect him.
That last part kind of gets me a little bit. I'm gonna be real.
Take a shot at the line.
He spoke about the receivers in the ball. I'm thinking he's speaking of certain guys jumping in front of DBs, jumping in front of wide receivers to get the ball. A couple of them, especially in the last game, like he got to be on point when throwing the ball. The one in specific I'm thinking about is the Texans game in which the old DB, what is his name, that was played for the Houston Texans this weekend, King. When he jumped in front of the route that game. And I was just thinking to myself, well, you got to be able to be on the same page. Yeah, but it still goes to him. When it comes down to that last game for sure, I thought it was more 17 than anybody else. And it's like other people got to protect him. No, man, he is your QB1. He is your guy. Like, he's supposed to elevate everybody else. So it's what he's supposed to. Vrabel's going to protect his guys. I just didn't like that last part. Other people got to protect him. Like, no, man, you QB1, go do your job.
Once again, if he didn't believe in Tannehill, he's not going to tell you.
Good morning, I'm John.
Yeah, and he's never going to say it, and he's not supposed to either. So hats off to what he's got going on with him. Ryan Tannehill is going to be the quarterback going into this next season, and that's where we're just going to take it.
And by the way, I'm not saying he doesn't believe in him. I'm saying it doesn't matter whether he does or not.
No.
That's the answer you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with AJ. Like, he's not going to harm the asset in any way, nor is he going to disparage the player, because why would he? He does like AJ Brown. I just want to see the extension to know that he will be here long term. And again, I assume that it will happen. Maybe it happens after June 1. Maybe it doesn't happen until next year. I don't know. I find it hard to believe it won't happen before the season with all of the other things surrounding these other guys. But, Vrabel's coach speak. Like, there's not anything particularly earth-shattering about any of the stuff he's saying right there.
Cousin Andrew with the best summary of what Vrabel said right there. Translation. #season of lies.
Yeah, that's right. That's all it is.
That's all.
Or it's just a season of political coach speak.
Yeah,
where nothing is being said there. Like, in what universe would a coach, especially Vrabel, but anybody in that situation say, "Yeah, definitely don't want AJ here"?
Well, Cleveland Browns did it.
I said other than Cleveland.
Oh, okay, yeah, Cleveland.
Because they're
Browns.
idiots.
Yeah, Cleveland pretty much is like, nah, we're waiting on you to drop Baker.
Stupid.
Yeah, basically.
#season of lies.
Vrabel also does not care for this idea about new quarterbacks coming into the AFC being some kind of narrative, I guess, that would disparage the Titans. Here is Coach Vrabel one more time.
The other two narratives about your team, or at least your team is associated with, is the fact of Russell Wilson is now in the conference, and Matt Ryan is now in the conference, and you also have Deshaun Watson returning to the conference, and the American.
I'm trying to figure out how that narrative affects the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, well, the narrative is that you were the first overall seed, and the conference just got even more difficult.
It's that National Football League. It's hard. We played however many teams, eight or nine teams that made the playoffs last year, and beat however many of them. It's going to be the same next year. Everybody's got $220 million to spend, and it's going to be great players on every team. That's why this game is great. That's why this league is great. That's why everybody loves it. 18 teams have a chance to make the playoffs, or how many did last year? 20-some teams. 56 games within the last 2 minutes are decided. 31 on the last play. Like, take your heart pills and buckle up.
That's the Vrabel I'm not a giant fan of, because that was very we get it. We know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know the AFC's tougher this year than it was last year. We all know it's tougher than it was last year. And I don't care who you beat last year. You've got to beat them again, which you at least did admit that point. But even to his point about it being decided in the last few minutes and all these games being close and all this, that's why a lot of folks are saying, eventually the Titans are going to come down to earth because those things don't generally happen on a consistent basis, winning close games. I have no idea. But that right there is just like, where'd this narrative come from? Well, it came from the fact that you've got league MVPs and dudes that are top 5 quarterbacks entering the conference or returning to the conference. Like, that does affect every team in the AFC and the NFC and across the league. And it is why we love the league, because there are so many of those guys.
Yeah, Vrabel we can definitely dive deeper into that last part, Jay. I thought that was most interesting.
Quickly to that before we go to the break, though, just to provide the other side of that. Vrabel's perspective as the head coach, as it should be, is, right, they're coming in. And we also played Mahomes last year and won. Played Stafford last year.
Yeah, I know.
Played Allen last year and won. And agreed, that's not my favorite Vrabel.
That's not my version of – that's not the Vrabel I'm a big fan of.
He's consistent with it. I'll at least say that.
Yeah, he is.
Not my favorite version of it. But I understand. I get it. I get it. The thing is that now the bar has been raised as it should be. So it's like, yeah, okay. Now you got to get it done in the playoffs.
No, I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. We got Mike Ginnitti of Spotrac on the other side. We'll talk to him about the wide receiver money, what he thinks AJ can get if things have changed, what he thinks of people taking 49ers logos off their Instagram right now. All of those things with Mike Ginnitti of Spotrac. We talk money. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5. This is The Zone. Hey, foundation issues, they are big time, and they are hard to spot. You need somebody that can actually tell you what you're seeing and how serious it actually is. If you've got doors and windows sticking, your bricks are cracking, you got a bowing basement wall, the chimney is leaning, all these signs of a possible foundation issue with your home, that's where United Structural Systems needs to be your first phone call, because they'll come out and tell you what's going on. They give you a free estimate. That estimate might be zero, and I make sure to say that every day because it's important. It doesn't mean they're just going to come out and give you a quote to give you a quote. They're not going to find something wrong. They actually care about your business long term, and they care about the integrity of their company. That's why if you go look them up on the Better Business Bureau website, you're going to find an A+ next to United Structural Systems. They're also locally owned, not a franchise. They've been here for over a quarter of a century, and they care about our community and the homeowners within it. Again, free estimate before you ever have to make any kind of a decision, and then you don't pay a dime until they're finished. And they make sure you're happy. Over 22,000 satisfied customers can tell you can place a call. Look, it can be a big job. I'm not going to lie to you. But it can also potentially be no job, or it can be a very, very small job. You just got to make sure you have somebody that's going to be straight with you. And that's United Structural Systems. 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275, or visit them online at ussTN.com. United Structural Systems. Yep. Definitely wedding music. Mike Goalie Jr. giving us our music today. The music he's going to use as part of the playlist for his sister's wedding. It's JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Glad to be with you wherever you happen to be. Thanks for joining us. We're on Twitter at JMart and Ramon. Marshman Real Estate Hotline brings us our guests, including Mike Ginnitti of Spotrac. He's on with us right now. Mike, how are you?
Good morning, guys. Appreciate it.
So I'm going to ask you a couple different questions because obviously everybody here wants to know about A.J. Brown and what Stephon Diggs' contract means and all this. There's a few different ways that I want to ask before we even get to the numbers themselves. So Diggs' contract, Tyreek Hill's contract, Devontae Adams' contract. It does seem like teams are spending knowing the salary cap is going to explode in a couple of years and they're going to be in better positions. Is it possible that a lot of the deals that have people raising their eyebrows right now are going to seem much more like bargains a few years down the road?
But maybe not bargains, but at least fair value, right? Like the Diggs cap hit for the next 2 years over 23 and 24 is around $20 million, which, 2 years ago for a wide receiver, that was insane. But when the cap's going to be 230, 245, that's less than 10% of a team's cap. So I think it's just going to be where we live, and we're anticipating that explosion all in one here. So it's a big explosion for this wide receiver market. There's no question about that. I'm not downplaying it, but I don't think the numbers are as eye-popping as they seem to be right now when they will be in 2 years.
So when you and what you guys do at Spotrac, when you are putting together your projections, we saw your projections after the Diggs deal for what AJ and Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf might command. I was wondering this. When you're putting these projections together, do you take into consideration who the agent is? Like, do you know the names of these guys and then can factor in, well, this is how this guy operates historically, so we can actually make a projection based on that? Or is it purely based on the market itself? Because like in this case, we know it's Tory Dandy. I don't know how much Spotrac knows, for example, about Tory Dandy and the way he operates as opposed to, I don't know, in baseball, like a Scott Boras or somebody like that.
It's a great question, and you're kind of bearing the lead there with the Dandy situation, these wide receivers. But from a valuation standpoint, when we just run the calculations, the nerdy math stuff, we kind of let the math do its work, and then I evaluate it the next layer up, right? So I'll take the agent's approach. The team, there's a lot of team structures that I have to bring into it, right? Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Seattle, they all do things a little differently with certain positions. So I'll extend the original math to a place where I think it probably belongs. But the algorithm itself doesn't account for Tory Dandy or the Tennessee Titans or things like that on the surface. It's where I take it from there that brings that part of it in.
Okay, so Tory Dandy, I won't bury the lead further. We know he represents all three of the wide receivers that are looking to get paid right now. He also represents receivers that have already been paid this offseason. Watching him, how does he negotiate? Like what should be expected here for, fans in San Francisco, Seattle, Tennessee as it relates to those clients?
Well, there's two situations happening, right? The guys we've already mentioned at the top of the segment here, right? Tyreek, Devontae, Stephon Diggs, those are third contracts, right? So those are almost final contracts for those players. So we have to think in that mindset for agent and for player in regards to that. But Chris Godwin, Mike Williams, the two other clients of Tory Dandy here, signed short, quick, big guarantee impact contracts, 3 for $60, $40 million guaranteed, get in, get out, get back on that open market or at least on availability before age 30 and when this cap explodes, right? So let's kind of do something quick now and then get back in this thing in 2 years. I have to think that's where Dandy's living with Deebo, with A.J. Brown, with maybe even a Metcalf, because these guys are young. They've got a ton of time in front of them, and you don't want to lock yourself into 5 years right now knowing where this cap is going, knowing where these contracts may be with all positions, but certainly with this position. So while it is happening right now quickly in 2022, I don't necessarily think Tory Dandy and these clients want to get themselves locked in too long knowing what's coming down the pipeline here.
With that being said, and heck, I remember my brother came in the league. His minimum was, I think, $285. I come in a few years later, it was $405. As far as the minimums go, man, across the league, these numbers that are being pushed out across all positions, it's just what's going to be the norm moving forward with the growth of the NFL. Is how you view, these new numbers that we got to get used to. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, will there be a breaking point with some of these positions? Yes. I mean, I don't know that any of these positions are going to have a running back type scenario where it just, it falls off a cliff. But I do think these numbers are going to get truncated a little bit at the wide receiver position because this isn't an exclusive position. Yes, you need one really good one, but you need 4 pretty good ones next to him too, right?
Yeah.
So this is a deep arsenal that you need to sign on a regular basis, and it's kind of a revolving door as well. So can you have one wide receiver that's eventually going to be $40 million a year in 3 years? We're going to get there because that's just where the league is going, but some teams are going to say absolutely not to that. There's going to be certain teams that don't operate in this regard.
Can I ask you this with the way everything's kind of opened up as far as money being paid out? Did the Cleveland Browns kind of show the NFL hand with the way they did the Deshaun contract, $230 guarantee for a guy that hadn't played in over, I don't know how many months, over 12 months? Like, did it expose the money in which they can operate in the NFL?
No question. And we've been saying this for nobody's telling somebody you can't be fully guaranteed. There's no rules. It's not in the CBA. It's just kind of like a quid pro quo behind the scenes that the owners are saying, we don't have to do this. Nobody's forcing our hand. The NBA has the same situation. You don't have to do that. You can put half guaranteed contracts in the NBA. And I do think that's where things are going in the NFL, right? And the Deshaun Watson contract has lifted us very, very close to that situation. And by the way, so have these wide receiver contracts I just mentioned from Dandy, right? These 3 for $60 with 40 guaranteed, that's an NBA contract right there. That's get in, get out, because I know that money's going to be sitting there in 2.5 years for me, regardless of whether I'm injured or not. Chris Godwin just had a ridiculous injury. Still got $40 million guaranteed. So it's kind of a bulletproof situation right now. And you'd be a fool to go 5-6 years unless it's your final contract, in my opinion.
So let me ask you this. You've been following and studying this with Mike Ginnitti of Spotrac this morning, and you've been following this. You know the numbers. You do the numbers. You deal with what's actually a contract. When we're dealing with the 3 guys that Dandy has, as far as negotiation, have you seen whether it's quarterback agents, because we know that those are out there also. I know Ben, who's had his agent for a while, he had a bunch of quarterbacks. So now that we're dealing with these wide receivers that are all pretty much equivalent in second-round draft picks, same agent, same skill set for the most part, with Debo being able to run the ball, how do they negotiate these deals as far as who's going to go first? Do I give him $1 more than the other one? Do I give him $100,000, or is it team-by-team basis?
That's an amazing question, right? Who's going to get the first deal, because it's going to trickle up after that. It's a next man up philosophy. It doesn't have to be, right? Mike Williams and Chris Godwin just signed identical contracts. So if you've got 2 situations that look pretty similar, and by the way, with those 3 guys specifically, and now that Debo's kind of put it out there in terms of his social media scrub, there's a quarterback problem for a lot of these players, right? They could be in one-and-done situations with their quarterbacks this year. So it's a weird time for these guys to be signing contracts. In my opinion, even more reason to go short-term. But to answer your question, I think there's a lot of communication happening here. Now, Debo's kind of a unicorn, so he's probably going to kind of stand alone in this, but the Metcalf A.J. Brown situation should be synchronized, in my opinion, and I think Torrey Dandy is likely to do that.
So so Godwin and Williams is like 3 for $60 with 40 guaranteed. You're basically suggesting, and I think this is very adept, that you want 2 cracks at the apple because of the way the salary cap's going to roll. You don't want to tie yourself long term and then have to restructure and all of that. So do you think that the AJ situation, if it gets worked out here in Tennessee, as we all expect it will, that you're looking more at a 3-year, $60 million deal with a high guarantee?
Fully, probably.
That's where I'd go. That's where I'd be going. Now, these guys are young. Like I mentioned, the recent contracts that have kind of exploded this market are older players, around that 30 age mark. So, can you say $75 million with almost that fully guaranteed, right? Can you go $25 a year for 3 years? That's kind of where I'm thinking with these players, regardless of their valuation, because everything's kind of thrown out the window right now with these latest contracts. But I would stay in the 3-year mark as a max, dump some void years on there to make sure the cap gets spread out so the team is happy. But yeah, that's where my head is right now, because I think we're going to be, in 3 years with a league cap of $250 minimum.
So in all of this, as you said earlier, you say, you can go give a wide receiver $40 million a year, but he also got to have 4 or 5 other guys to help him get it. And not just that, it's the balance of the team too, Mike. So I ask you this, a guy like Jeffrey Simmons, I realized this after the fact when I saw it on your website, he is a self-represented guy. He's his own agent. All things for him is all money in. With that being said, Is it on him to go approach the Titans, or will the Titans approach him when it's time to come do this deal? Is there an advantage for him other than not having to pay an agent fee? Because Jeff is probably going to be I don't know what the highest D-line is, but he's got to be 18, 19, 20+ million dollars a year when it comes down to it.
Yeah, if I'm him, I'm staying away right now and waiting for that Aaron Donald contract to drop, because that's going to reset things to another level. I'm hearing $30 million a year on that contract. So
what? Say that again, Mike. You can't just drive by that real quick. You hearing what?
Oh yeah, I'm hearing $30 million. I mean, look, we're right there. I mean, T.J. Watt's approaching the $30 million mark. That's where we are with defensive players, and I don't know who deserves it more than Aaron Donald, regardless of his age. I mean, if it's going to be a short, tack on, like a 2-year tack on, something like that, but it's going to be for all intents and purposes around $30 million a year. So that's where the elite defensive player is going in this league, and it's the same conversation we're having with wide receivers here. Everybody's going to trickle up. So I'm waiting for that one to hit, and then I'm going to the front office and saying, look, I can be a little bit more reasonable than that, because I'm not Aaron Donald yet, but let's start talking about $25, $27 million a year for sure.
Now, we figured out now that the salary cap itself, we're looking at guaranteed money now. We're not looking at total value a lot of times in terms of really trying to see what a team is on the hook for. How real right now, I bet you get asked this all the time because you're seeing all the spending that's happening in this league right now, and people want to understand this. How real is the salary cap currently? From what I can gather, it's affecting depth. But if you want to keep a guy, you can always find a way to keep a guy.
Bingo. Yeah, it's a negotiation point more than anything, right? If you want to live right down there in the less than $1 million cap space world and use that as a negotiation tactic to make sure that you keep your contracts compressed, teams have been able to do that successfully. The implementation of void years and the popularity of that kind of situation and the cap gymnastics that a lot of these teams are living with now has become so public that so many of these players and agents, of course, now know how this works. And they don't take no for an answer anymore. So I do think that whole point is being exposed to the point of where it's just not going to be able to keep up anymore. So if you want to live and try to keep these salaries low, you're not only going to be a problem for free agency and things like that, you're probably not going to be very successful in the standings, because that's what we're seeing with these other sports that have hard caps. If you don't pay to play, you're not going to be winning at the end of the day. So
you mentioned Donald being around $30 million and then T.J. Watt. So what do you think Simmons' value would be right now on a 4-year deal, for example, if he were to wait a year or so? We don't know exactly what the market would be, but where would you value Simmons on a per-year basis?
Yeah, it's tough not to see that at $25 million right now. I mean, the Myles Garrett situation, because of what he can do versatilely over that line. So if the big elite players are going up to the $30 million mark, like I said, tier 2 is probably 25, so 4 for 100. That's total value. If it's 80 guaranteed or something around there, that's about where we're living right now with these elite defensive players, and I would put him in that category right now.
Answer me this, as far as the money that's being paid out to, if you have it, is in order to be a competitive team, when it comes down to it, you're going to have to spend a little bit. And when we're speaking about AJ's situation, the amount of money he could potentially be paid out, do you see the Titans being able to push that to the forefront and say, AJ, here you go? I don't know if he's going to get 25, but I would think the floor for him is closer to 22, 23 million a year. Is that what you can project his salary to be moving forward?
Yeah, that's kind of what the math says. So if we're being realistic about that, look, the Stephon Diggs contract, it's 6 years, but it's 3 years at 22 and change a year. So the reality of it is right about where he was valuing in the first place. So if you think about it that way, if you think about where the guarantee structure value is, right? If you're saying $75 million guaranteed, but maybe that's over 3.5 years, however they want to structure this thing. Again, I'd say short impact. I'd say get in, get out, maybe get yourself $50 million over the next 2 and then get out of there. That's how I would do it. But you're probably right saying, between 22 and 23 million is about his fair value market right now. By
the way, when you mentioned, real quick before we let you go, you mentioned Debo being kind of a unicorn and then AJ and DK, which I would agree with you. But does that unicorn mean he gets more than those other two guys or less because he's viewed as a different kind of player?
It's TBD, right? I mean, that's the one that's really hard to put some math into right now, because you go to put him against running backs, and running backs don't make any money. So That's not going to help his value in terms of mathematical valuations. But I do think that he's going to be comparable to these players, because from a receiving standpoint, his production is a little bit less than a DK, right? But from an an all versatile standpoint, he's doing more on the field than really any player in football right now. So I think at the end of the day, the numbers will be very, very close. But look, rookie quarterback in San Francisco, I'd be pumping for more and more because of it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Mike, thanks so much, man. Great insight as always.
You bet, guys. Have a good weekend.
Indeed. That's Mike Ginnitti. So, first off, $30 million a year for Aaron Donald. But here's the thing. He admitted what I've been trying to get somebody to say, and somebody from Spotrac saying it, it means even more.
The guy saying it. Yeah, he's the guy.
The cap, did you hear the most important thing he said during that entire conversation is that the salary cap is more than anything a negotiating tactic.
Yes, sir.
So, I don't care what you pay A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
That's what I take from that.
Yeah.
I want A.J. to be a Titan, right?
Yeah.
Just like most everybody listening does. So, at this point, when I see his number, I'm going to say, good job. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore because I see it the same way.
Mm-hmm.
It is a way to get somebody out of town.
Yep.
Or it's a way to try and be cheap.
Keep him low. 100%.
That's it.
Cap casualty. No, you just don't like his play.
You didn't want that guy here, or
yeah.
You don't want to scratch that check to that guy.
Come on now.
Period. So I don't care. Pay AJ $200 million.
We've spoken about this too. When you're a good team, you're going to have a whole lot of this. And whoever is the cap strategist for the Titans, just get creative, basically, is what he said. Get very creative if you want to keep these good players for a very long time.
No, that's right. I mean, that to me was fascinating from that perspective, that you finally heard somebody. That's the dude that does nothing but looks at the cap and looks at money all day long.
Yeah.
In terms of Ginnitti. And he basically just told you, the jig is up. We know. We know what the cap is and what it's not. What it's not is, we're up against the cap. We can't. Bull crap. Bull crap. 615-737-1045. 737-1045. It's JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Spring weather in the South can get a little complicated. One day it can be warm or even hot, and you need to turn on the air conditioning. But at night, it can get chilly, and you need a little bit of heat to keep your house warm and comfortable. And it's Ramon Foster. I have the heating and cooling company that can take care of all of your HVAC needs. And the name is Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. With over 20 years of experience serving all of Southern Middle Tennessee, let me tell you, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a family-owned and operated company that prides itself for outstanding customer service, which is, y'all know, it's hard finding that these days, especially when you're dealing with people, but they do an awesome job at it. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers cost-effective solutions like a free service call. They don't say, hey, we're going to charge you $60. No. If you need a repair, they're coming out for free, and they give you free estimates on replacement systems also. They also back their work with 10 years parts and labor warranties and up to 72 months of, no interest on new installs. Whatever the price is you pay, they got 72 months of no interest for it. So be ready for the spring or the summer or anything that may come your way by getting the best indoor air quality thanks to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They got 2 locations to serve you also, in Columbia and in Lyles, okay? And they're available anytime on your phone, computer, whatever you want to call it, at springhillac.com. Go talk to the folks that I know, okay? Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Yeah, the quiche from 8th and Roast, highly recommend it. Excellent.
He killed it this morning. I was like, Q, just put a couple quiche in there. He brought the whole pie.
So he always brings me beans,
Yeah.
which people understand I have a problem. 2 of the bags that he brought, one he always brings that I'm a big fan of, but 2 new ones, you have no idea the level of excitement when I see new bags with new tasting notes.
I heard Jay go, ooh.
I literally went, ooh, honeydew.
That really was the tone of your voice.
I'm serious. I was.
Hey, let me see if I can impersonate it correctly. Ooh.
Yeah.
It was pretty close to
Are you
that.
Bruno Mars?
There was a bit of Michael Jackson to that. Ooh.
It was, but
Couldn't stop till we got to know.
man, support local is all we ever say, man, for sure. I know the Green Lady is awesome, Starbucks, but 8th and Roast, man.
2 people we love, man. 8th and Roast and Black Rifle.
Hey, I'm telling you, go treat yourself. Q and them are doing an awesome thing over there, man, at
The
8th and
food
Roast.
from 8th and Roast.
It's awesome.
Everything
Fresh.
I've had from there
Yeah,
is
it's good stuff.
spectacular.
And even if you're vegan.
Yeah, they got a gluten-free banana muffin over here. They got all sorts of
Gluten-free.
stuff.
I usually get the burrito, but I had the biscuit today.
Sausage
got a
biscuits
biscuit?
on point.
I didn't
Those
even know it was
biscuits in
putting
there.
biscuits in there.
Yeah,
they're-
it says
yeah.
on the top of the box.
I literally
biscuits.
said, ooh, a sausage biscuit standing next to you and picked it up and said, hey, here's a sausage biscuit. I think I even hit you in the face with
too
it.
focused on the breakfast burrito, okay?
Fair.
I think somebody of your experience would have better field
I
awareness
gotta
than
be
that.
aware. You're right. I wasn't aware. I was excited about
So,
it ringing.
Not as going to break your quarterback's
I'm
nose
so
again.
happy that we
Again.
got. I'm so happy that we got Ginnitti on record saying what he said. I want to cut that piece of audio because every time we start talking about people getting paid, I just want to play the answer every single time from now on because we now know this is what the salary cap is. This is what I'll distill what I got from that answer, which was it's a negotiating tactic to mean this.
Yeah.
The salary cap is applicable only when the team needs it to be.
Yep.
In order to do something they want to do or not do something they want to do.
Yes, sir.
It is a paper trail to accomplish some goal by the team. If they don't need it to apply in that moment, they're going to find a way for it not to matter.
Yeah.
And so, every contract that I see from now on for various players,
Yep.
I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
More power to each and every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
The way he kind of explained it too. What did he say? 2 bites of the apple.
Yeah, well, I mean that makes all the sense in the world too. If I'm AJ, I want to do that because the salary cap's going to be $50-60 million higher. I want that second crack.
Mm-hmm. And when we were dealing, so I was a rep for the Steelers as far as union goes.
Crazy. Don't want a second crack.
No, never that. But I'm
gonna put your drawers in the ground your ass. I forgot about that.
But with that being said, so we spoke about guaranteed contracts in the NFL. There's always the old adage of players injured and stuff like that. I'll say this too: football players, as friggin' brute and brawn and brash as we are as time with what we do, there's always the fear of, man, I can get hurt. I want the security. But it's also a bunch of people say, man, screw that. Bet on yourself with what you're about to do when it comes down to negotiating your contract. I think everybody know, look, if I do a 5-year deal worth 80, okay, if I do a 5-year deal worth 80 and it's 60 guaranteed, no, cut me down. Give me a 3 fully guaranteed at 60. You know, and then if I'm good enough like I think I am, give me all of it, okay? Give me all of it and I'll get another crack at it again, especially if I'm young enough or if I'm a quarterback. Or the other part is if I got the power to do those types of things.
The only one only time I wouldn't want that, and again, you do what you want to do, and he's going to be able to make his own decision. Only person where I'd want a longer-term deal is if I play risky football. If I'm Lamar Jackson.
Okay.
I don't know if I want 2 bites because that second bite might not come because of my injury.
That's
At least I want a
understood.
higher guarantee.
Yeah, I was
want a
gonna say
higher
that
guarantee
now.
on the first on that one deal.
Yeah.
You better pay me a lot. I better know it because I am at a higher risk because of the way in which I play the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Or if you're a slot receiver that's mainly
A
just going
position
across the
that's
middle.
right.
For sure. But when it comes down to the bite of the apple thing, to me, give me multiple. Give me the whole apple. Give me the whole apple and the ability to go buy another one through my play. Like I'm seeing through reflection of the window. AJ's on the friggin' TV right now. He's showing the trio of these guys. I think these three are the biggest conversation piece aside from any quarterback that's been signed already, because everybody looking at them is just saying, whew, set the market for us. Please set the market. Like you said, it trickles up now.
And none of these guys are resetting the market, meaning bringing it back down.
No.
These two guys are going to keep it going this way. There's going to be somebody. It should have been Christian Kirk.
Even he, though. Even him, Jay.
615-737. What, Shay?
Well, we'll talk more about it with Mike Keith, but I was on the phone with Mike yesterday, and it was the Christian Kirk deal that opened everybody's eyes, and then the waterfall followed up after that.
Yeah, because that deal doesn't make sense from a football standpoint to value. From a cap standpoint, I don't care, and good on Christian Kirk, and I hope he's successful and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But he ain't worth what that
You
contract
say
is
that,
worth.
to your point, though, they were willing to pay it, Jay. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, no.
I know what you're getting at.
To,
I know what you're getting at. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that's why I'll say this, too. While we never said that, hey, A.J. Brown's getting traded or is even on the block.
Right.
We've never said that
Or do
on
we
the
want
show.
to see that happen?
But what we did say was, because we said it as a reminder, as you just said, Ramon, another team can come in and pay whatever they're willing to pay.
Yes.
That's what we've been saying. We're not saying, hey, he's getting traded. Hey,
No.
they can't get a job done. In fact, we do think they're going to re-sign him. But it always takes two sides.
It does.
615-737-1045. Mike Keith, 25 minutes away. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
8:02, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. 2 more coaches have been added to Brian Flores' amended complaint in which Flores is suing the NFL for racial discrimination. The lawyers for Ray Horton, a former Titans assistant who interviewed for the team's head coaching job in 2016, claims he was given, quote, a completely sham interview done only to comply with the Rooney Rule, end quote. Additionally, Mike Mularkey, who got the job, said in a 2020 podcast that Titans ownership told him he was going to get the job before they completed the interview process with other candidates. Meanwhile, the Titans said in a statement yesterday that they performed a, quote, thoughtful and competitive process fully in keeping with NFL guidelines and our own organizational values, end quote. 49ers have agreed to terms with former Titans wide receiver Marcus Johnson. Those terms not yet released. A Seymour Putters Masters update. 5-time Masters champion Tiger Woods, a 1-under-71 first round yesterday. Second round is underway right now. The leader of the tournament in South Korean Sun Jae-im, he leads at 5 under. He will tee off a little bit later in the hour. Aussie Cameron Smith, 4 under, 4 golfers tied at 3 under, including Dustin Johnson. Nashville Predators able to rally and earn a 3-2 victory over the Senators in Ottawa last night. Roman Josi, a goal and 2 assists. He currently holds the franchise record for the most points in a season with 86, and he's a defenseman. Nuggets over the Grizz, 122-109. Reds over the Braves, 6-3. They'll be underway again tonight at 6:20 at Truist Park. And Durham defeated the Sound 6-3 at First Horizon Park. Game 4 of their series, 6:35 tonight. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your over the Titans and the Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3, JMart and Ramon. 104.5 The Zone, powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville.
Every day is better when Brett
Musical
Grimes
guest, Schaefer and the 5 Sisters.
Oh.
All 5 sisters. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4.
5 of them, all last name Schaefer.
I would
Sure.
hope so.
I mean, you don't know.
I think Papa was a Rolling
I'm
Stone.
sure.
You know what? You know what? It ain't none of your business.
It doesn't matter what you...
Papa was a Rolling Stone, was a hit.
Don't matter if they're different last names. It's still my fam.
Hey, don't act like my family ain't blended like that. Shay found out something yesterday, too. We went on a walk because he was on his way. He was like, you want to go walk? And
I could have taken a walk yesterday.
No.
I know. See, y'all live
were
close
you,
to each other. I'm on the other side of town. But, dude, I could have put her into Bjorn.
Yeah.
I walked with her yesterday anyway.
I didn't
Right.
even know how to explain how to say that word. I'm glad you said it. The Bjorn.
Yeah, the baby
I was calling it
Bjorn.
Bonjour.
I got an ergo baby.
I drive past the man's house twice a
I
day.
know. I don't care. I don't care about your logic or your facts.
Okay. As long as we're establishing that as a
Okay.
baseline, now you can proceed.
I just care about just sitting at home and be like, I bet they're hanging out again.
Man, my boy hit 4 miles yesterday on a nice pace, too.
Nobody cares.
You're so good.
Go ahead. Tell us about this, and I'll tell you about yesterday. Go ahead.
What was I doing?
You say you went, you got a what daughter? You was talking about the Bjorn, and then.
No, I wasn't doing anything. You just said you took a walk with Schaefer, and we were talking about 5
thought she was about
sisters.
to
And nope.
thought
We
she
were
was-
talking about the blended family thing.
Oh, blended family. Yeah.
By the way,
yeah.
we talk about the seasonal lies.
Yeah.
Seasonal lies extends all over the place, right? Not
Yeah.
just the NFL.
Absolutely not.
WrestleMania, they said, 77, 78,000. You know, they only had seats for 60. And there were 54,000-ish paid. Every year they embellish the number. It is interesting when they don't even have within 15,000 seats available. And there were still walk-up tickets you could buy a day of. Next year they're doing 100,000 seat. They're doing SoFi.
They're doing
SoFi, and that's one of the reasons why you want The Rock on that show to face Roman Reigns. I don't think they can sell 100,000.
So they're going to sell 68, 69, 70-some
Yeah,
thousand
maybe.
here at Nissan Stadium?
Yeah. Well,
No.
maybe are they still selling
They're
digital
going to sell
tickets?
about 45,000 at Nissan Stadium.
I mean, Is it the digital tickets that they're selling too? Like they're still watching Cyber? You remember what they did during the pandemic? No?
They're just lying because they've always lied. I mean, they lied about WrestleMania 3, but 90,000. No, there was I think the actual number is 71.
That's the Vince McMahon effect, though, isn't it?
It's fine.
We're talking about
Everybody
Mr. Schaefer and the Five Sisters. And during our walk yesterday, Schaefer brought up something to me that I thought he knew already.
I wasn't sure.
Like you knew, but you wasn't 100% sure.
So when you got done talking about me on your walk.
No, there's no talking about you on a walk. We talked about
and how
family.
we would have loved to have had you, but more especially CG there. Yes,
more definitely CG. We'll get CG walking 4 miles if we bring her.
She turns a year in 6 days,
hey.
And I thought I might bring her in the studio.
I'm gonna say this again.
I'm gonna host a show with her in the Bjorn for 4 hours.
Send CG to the yard, man.
She's been on the show on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, she has been on TV.
She has not been to the studio. Ramon has never seen her in person.
Because I'm trying to see her. She got to go to the yard first before I see her. I'm forever on that. Because your sleepless nights is because she got a lot of energy, man. But besides that, your family, my family. Shafe, I thought he knew something for certain. 100% knew he thought he knew this. I'm starting to realize this.
I don't know nothing, man.
Besides the buttons. What happened? And the burp that I do on here. But the story. Besides that, he said he was talking to somebody about,
Somebody in the office asked the other day the relation between you and Ron Slay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know, which you revealed to me yesterday with photographic evidence, that you and Ron are indeed half brothers.
Biological same bloodline.
I didn't know it for a little while, but I figured it out after a while.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things that's like, I just wasn't sure.
You thought that's my cousin.
I thought it was like a first cousin thing. I didn't know it was a half brother thing.
We're related because we did similar things.
Yeah, it's just like we're related because we've been in this big same group for 30-some years.
So they asked the question, like, is that his brother? And Shafe was like, are you and Ron actually brothers? And I was like, yeah. He was like, what? I was like, we got the same dad. He was like,
I just didn't know.
I know. I've said that it's so crazy, but I don't even know if the administration of Tennessee really knows this. And they put it in my bio, too. I was like, no, we got the same damn daddy. So when it comes to Papa Was a Rolling Stone song, he was in Covington, Tennessee. He was in Nashville, Tennessee. He was in Indianapolis. California. Dude sprouted up a bunch of athletes that just so happen to be cool with each other, too. So love my brothers.
Like Renardo, you two look alike.
We look alike. See, me and him have the same mom and dad.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. Ron, we got the same dad, different mom. Mm-hmm. Rodney and Steven also got the same mom and dad, too. But Rodney, my brother, looks more like his mom, and Steven looks more like Renardo, Ron, and our dad.
Because now that I know this information, I'm going to be like, why can't you be more like your brother Ramon? And then there's going to be times I'm going to be like, why can't you be more like your brother? No, you don't need to be like him. You're good. No, you're all right.
You also said Renardo is the one that probably carries a shank around.
No, he's an assassin.
But he's always been that way.
So quiet.
It's so funny. We were actually texting, all of us are texting each other yesterday, and this Nardo and Ron look very much alike. And what's funny, everybody looked up to Ron. Because Ron is the most
he's
known.
Tall.
Ron ain't. No.
To look up
See,
to him.
they do that on 3HL. Ron ain't no 6'8". Ron is 6'6", maybe 6'7". Okay, Don.
I could give Slay 6'7".
I was going to say maybe 6'7", yeah.
You want to give him 6'8". Don walks around Nashville giving him 6'8".
He ain't 6'8".
That ain't
it's
it.
Pro wrestling height, man.
And then
right.
He's got lists in his boots.
It's media guide height.
They say what they want to on 3HL, and I'm here in the morning to fight back at Don Davenport. Ronald Sylvester Slay is not 6'8", okay? I'm closer to his height than he is to 6'8". Just want to throw that out there. Now, fight me later. With that being said, Nardo and Ron took very similar pictures without ever seeing each other. We looked up to Ron because Ron wore the headband. We both were hooping. Nardo used to carry his headband around his neck before putting it on. There's pictures of Ron at UT with his headband around his neck before he put it on, too. Maybe that's just standardized what you're supposed to do with a headband. But I rocked the headband. Nardo did. We had the Adidas gear and everything without, at that time, being around Young Savage, man. So it's a cool family dynamic, man. And again, I'll tell anybody, genetics is freaking genetics is wild. Dad was very strategic in dating women who were like 5'11" and taller too. So that kind of explains a lot too when it comes down to height.
CG is gonna be tall.
Yeah. I keep telling you. Fisher-Price basketball glove. All day.
She's already ratchet, so she got half of it now.
She's doing pull-ups in her cell right now. That's all I'm saying. Your baby.
Well, go ahead.
I just know that stuffed dog or whatever she had, man. She just put a whooping on that thing.
Yeah, she was standing all on it. Yesterday, she had both her feet on my foot. Like, she could have literally been – there was a whole floor there. She was standing on my foot with both feet. I'm like –
she don't care.
Shatter every bone in my foot.
She ain't no small baby is what you saying. She drinks plenty of milk. She's long baby, man.
Give a shout out to somebody.
Go ahead.
One of my wife's nurses.
Yeah.
Her son just got called up to the Cubs.
Straight up.
He played at Tennessee Tech. White County Warriors in high school. Played for the Golden Eagles. I went and saw them play Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
When Abby and I were just in the friend phase, and didn't know at the time he was as good as he turned out to be. His name's Ethan Roberts. Just like reading the story, he was at spring training with the Cubs. He pitched like 5 1/3 innings during a shortened preseason, and David Ross approached him and said, "Hey man, we're gonna call you up."
That's friggin' awesome, man.
So, like, it's just kind of amazing. Like, he's from the Upper Cumberland
Yeah.
community, just, small town kid who's been on this journey. And to find out he ends up with the Cubs, I wanted to make sure that got recognized.
Can we get the reggae horns for him, Shafe? I love that. I told you, I'm so intrigued by baseball now just because it's something, I guess the same way you were with coffee and golf and learning new things. I love seeing these kids on those journeys because it's just it's so hard. You know what I'm saying? You speak about her son from Tennessee Tech. Like, who'd have think kid from TTU is gonna be called up to the bigs, and not just that, to the Cubs also. That's freaking phenomenal. Now his parents can take a drive up if they want to,
and his dad's been part of his journey, right? And so all he did on
cool
social
stuff.
media was write, "Dad, we made it."
Yeah,
That was the whole
that's beautiful, man.
deal.
That's beautiful, man. Congratulations.
No, that was pretty awesome. So, Abby just sent me a message with like the mind blown emoji. It says, "Half brothers."
Yeah, Abby.
Schaefer wasn't alone.
By the way, Q texted me and said Ron is 6'6" at best. Everybody taking shots at his
Well, I mean, Abby had a dream where Ron died.
I need a Q to come in not during a segment so I could work out my schedule with him for next week. Dead serious.
Jay trying to get behind the counter, man.
Bad, man. I need some help with my espresso game. It's a struggle at this point trying to learn my way around this naked portafilter.
What's real? Jay just want another
Phrasing.
Jay just want another break from the child.
Mike Keith, voice of your Tennessee Titans on the other side. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Say you want a Ford Explorer with a great sound system, a sunroof, and co-pilot assist in Atlas Blue. Guess what? Two Rivers Ford can order that for you. Or maybe you want a truck like a F-150 XLT in Oxford White with tow technology package. Two Rivers Ford also can order that for you too. Two Rivers Ford can now custom order the exact new Ford you want in any color, any trim level with any available features. All you got to do is reach out to one of their non-commissioned salespeople, and they'll walk you right through the process. Or if you don't want to go to the dealership, fine, it's cool. You can do everything yourself online by clicking the custom order tab at tworiversford.com. At Two Rivers Ford, you'll always find honest, upfront prices and non-commissioned salespeople. Can't stress that enough. And don't forget this also. Two Rivers Ford always has the max trade-in guarantee. So let's recap a little bit. At Two Rivers Ford, you get exactly what you want at a great price. You also get top dollar for your trade, and you work with non-commissioned salespeople who aren't going to pressure you into buying. Beautiful process. Does it get any better? Yes, it does. Well, why? Two Rivers Ford is also locally owned, and they've been right here in Tennessee since 1983 with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. So what are you waiting for? Go custom order your new Ford at Two Rivers Ford today.
Welcome back, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. All Four Seasons Garage Doors, making it possible for us to be with you 5 days a week, 4 hours each one of those days from 6 to 10. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer. With me, I'm Jason Martin. We bring in the voice of the Tennessee Titans on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. OTP Tour. How about that? That's going to be exciting this weekend. Amy was super geeked about that last week when we talked to her. But they're going to be, Columbia tomorrow at the Columbia Welcome Center. And Coach Mack's going to be – I see special guest Coach Mack. That's very special. That's Ford Over Rooster stuff. And then right back here, downtown Martin's Barbecue, upstairs in the beer garden, which is where we did Monday Night Titans when I was hosting with Mark Mariani and Jim Wyatt a couple of years ago. Burke Nihill and Coach Mack are going to be a part of that event. And, of course, Mike Keith will as well. Mike, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So, Mike, we were talking to Mike Ginnitti of Spotrac in the last hour, and look, the wide receiver money is crazy right now, and probably isn't going to stop anytime soon. But I finally got somebody to admit something that I've been trying to get just straight up in an answer for a long time, and that dude does nothing but look at money all day. And I just said, "How real is the salary cap?" It looks like to me, it affects depth, but that's about it. Like you're going to be able to keep guys if you want to keep guys. And he said, bingo. And then basically he said, yeah, it's more of a negotiating tactic than anything else. So at this point, why do I care what anybody's getting paid?
Well, I mean, yes and no. The difference in the NFL salary cap and, say, the NBA salary cap is that eventually you're going to have to pay for it. And I understand that you can keep putting things off, but it's like the whole Aaron Rodgers deal. I mean, if he retires, if he retires after 2 years, the cap hit will be on a dead hit will be like $64 million. Mm-hmm. It's going to come due because guys are going to retire. So you can do voidable years. You can do all these extensions in different ways. And yes, you can be creative, but there is no Larry Bird exemption. It's not there. At a certain point, some of these teams doing some of these things, even with the cap going up, they're going to have to eat large chunks of this money. And so that's the part of it that you know it's going to come due at some point. And some of the things that teams have done this offseason, you're like, hey, that's great. I mean, the Saints are, I guess, the best example. It's all well and good until guys start retiring.
Yeah.
And eventually they're going to retire because, let's face it, the guys that you're giving the biggest money to are the older players because you're beyond the first contract. And, let's face it, once you get to 27 or 28 in the NFL, you're now a middle-aged player. Even though the quarterbacks are playing till they're 60, everybody else doesn't. So I think it's going to be something to watch, and people are gambling. And listen, these GMs are thinking, hey, if I don't win something in the next 2 or 3 years, why do I care about 2031? I'm not going to be here.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a very good point. So what was your reaction when you saw the Stephon Diggs extension? Because, I mean, obviously we immediately started looking at AJ because he's part of that group with Debo and with DK Metcalf. But what were your thoughts in regards to that deal?
I think it's a good deal for them at the point where they are in the window with the quarterback that they have. And where they've hit it with this quarterback is to get him at number 7 and to have him play as well as he's played. I mean, the inverse of that is Baker Mayfield, who was taken at number 1 and didn't work out. Well, you're now in the window with Josh Allen that you got to go. Stephon Diggs transformed them. It was a brilliant trade from the standpoint that it took everybody on their receiver chart, put them in their proper place because now you had a true number 1, and suddenly your whole group is vastly better because of one player. And it took their offense in a completely different direction. I think you pay that guy. I think you pay him for where he is now because you've got a chance to win a championship. I'll tell you, outside of the team for whom I work, The best team I saw last year was Buffalo.
Mm.
That was the best football team. If there's anybody who should be kicking themselves right now, particularly because of the 13-second deal, it's Buffalo. They were loaded. Statistically, they were dominant. For them not to win it was hard, but they know, okay, we didn't win it last year. We're still in this window, and that's what they're playing for.
You mentioned a word, Mike Keith. Welcome to the show, man. We appreciate you having time for us.
Thank you, Ramon. Of course.
I love when you just get real calm. Well, of course, yeah. But you mentioned the word, man, when it comes to team and these contracts and stuff like that. You said gamble. And I'm not talking about the betting sites. You're saying gambling on these contracts. Like,
sure.
In order to be, in your opinion, a team that's really on top and really competing, do you have to take those gambles as far as contracts and trying to get guys and retain guys and the fear of missing out, honestly?
Well, it's like what the Titans did with Harold Landry. I mean, think about this. You developed Harold Landry.
Yeah.
If we're having this conversation on your show last year, based on what happened in 2020, the fan base, and I told them Harold got what Harold got, a month ago. Your fan base would have been like, you are crazy. You are absolutely crazy. Well, of course, in between, he has a brilliant 2021 that showed what the Titans had kind of felt about him, that he was on the cusp of being a breakout. Now, there are edge rushers in this draft. There are plenty of them. The Titans might take another one at 26 because, as we know, they're hard to find. But you've got one. You've developed one. You could have said, let's not pay him. Let's gamble. Let's let Harold walk. Let's draft one. Let's move on. Let's spend the money elsewhere. But instead, John Robinson said, no. These guys are so hard to find. We feel like we're going to invest in one of our own and make this sort of commitment. And I thought it was the number one priority in free agency to keep him. I was elated they kept him because I think for every metric, he is a perfect player. And somebody said this, and I'd like to credit them properly. May have been Justin Mello. I can't remember. Somebody who covers the Titans said, for what they do, he is a perfect player for how many snaps he plays, the way he plays the run, the way they use him in different ways. I thought it was right on. I mean, he was a great fit for us. But, those are the moves that you make. I mean, they've committed a lot of money to him, a lot of money. And what you're seeing is sort of back – what this market is creating is almost back to what was the Floyd Reese theory of roster building. And that is you're going to pay basically your top 12 guys. And then you're going to take the rest of the roster and you're going to divide up the other money and you're going to kind of rotate through. You're going to sign some veterans. You're going to let some veterans walk. You're going to draft some guys. You're going to have some rookie free agents. We're going to see more and more of that, I think, throughout the league. Some teams want to spread the wealth throughout the 53. Some teams say, if I have 12 better players than your 12 best players, I can win a championship. And it's been done both ways.
Yeah.
And it's been done successfully both ways. Floyd certainly did it with us.
Mike, you really took my thunder and my next question as far as that goes. No, don't apologize. That's why you are who you are, okay? With that being said, though, how much more important is it, honestly, with the draft, which I'm hoping that we get some excitement because I'm working this with you guys at Titans Radio this year, as far as second-round picks and trading or trying to get more capital in the draft. How important is that? How important is it also to find guys like a Danico Autry or an undrafted free agent that you can just consistently, what we call core guys in the NFL, build a great team with?
It's huge. I mean, it's absolutely huge to be able to find veteran minimum contract guys who can help and to be able to find rookie minimum contract guys that can help in roles. Obviously, you would love for them to be big roles and for them to become stars, but if those guys become very capable players in certain roles and then can be developed in that way. And that's what Floyd did that with a bunch of guys. You think about the drafting of Cortland Finnegan. Cortland Finnegan, who had never played corner until he got to the NFL, and Cortland Finnegan becomes a Pro Bowl corner. Well, if you do the cost analysis on that in terms of the production, that's off the charts. Mm-hmm. That's a penny stock that becomes something that Warren Buffett would covet, in terms of the investment. It's vital at this time to find those players, not just in the first and the second and the third round, but to find them on day 3 and to find them right after the draft ends in terms of undrafted free agents, and to go find the veterans who will come available post-draft in May and June as salary cap casualties.
Mm-hmm. Mike, you mentioned that top 12, and I think if we laid out the roster in front of everybody, we can probably pick those out. In that group is a guy that kind of dealt with a lot of backlash this year, and that's Taylor Lewan. If you ask me, is he top 12 on this roster, I'm going to say heck yes. With that being said, his deal, his salary is very friendly and is below market value for a left tackle. If you're him, I'm asking you if you're him, are you asking for a new deal?
I don't think so, because I think you're in a position right now that it is certainly friendly, but he was on the front end of that, and at the time he got the contract, he got paid big time. I think for where he is and for where this team is, I think it's a deal that's commiserate with the player that he is on this roster. Okay. But all of that is well beyond me, because you're talking about people who have talent well beyond in their field of endeavor what I have in mind. They have leverage. I'm just glad to have a job. So at a certain point, an agent may think differently. Yeah. I mean, Taylor's making pretty good coin. Yeah. And several of these guys are doing pretty well. So from the outside, you say, well, even compared to the guys at their position, it seems fair. But there may be an agent who has a different view. I don't know. I think that's pretty good money.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, one other question on AJ and Ginnitti at Spotrac. Sure. I kind of mentioned this. You're looking at Godwin and you're looking at Williams with the Chargers, both also represented by Torrey Dandy, who also represents Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf and a bunch of these receivers. They just signed 3-year, $60 million-ish deals with $40 million of that guaranteed. If you're A.J. Brown and you're not even 25 yet, you'll turn 25 before you play another down, but you're not 25 yet, you've probably got a couple more contracts in your career, God willing and barring injury. Would you rather, and everybody operates differently, but would you rather, if you're A.J., take a shorter-term deal with decent guaranteed money, knowing the cap is going to go up, that way you have a second crack at the apple in a couple of years?
Well, you're seeing that more and more with positions regardless of wide receiver or whatever. I mean, so you have Patrick Mahomes, who's got a 10-year deal, right? You see some guys who get some 5-year deals, but in actuality, for the player and for the team, they're really 2 to 3 year deals. And then you see some deals out there that are just 3-year deals, and they're real contracts. I mean, the Deshaun Watson contract is 100% 5 years real.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, that is what he's going to get paid for 5 years now. And if they want to redo it, what they're going to do is they're going to hand him the money in March instead of paying him through the course of the season. They're going to make that into a bonus. So, I mean, I think you could do it a lot of different ways. Like I said, I would like to be that good at something.
Yeah, me too.
I think everyone listening to 104.5 The Zone right now, who's not a player or a coach who's been paid, or a country music star or an actor — I know you have a lot of famous people that listen to your show. Let's just say less than 1% of your audience is going to have the options that Arthur Wan and others like him are going to have in the coming years. So I think he's going to be just fine, whatever his representation chooses to go with. And yeah, he's probably young enough that he'll get another shot at it or two.
The Official Titans podcast tour. Tell us a little bit about the weekend. I know Martin's downtown Nashville is going to be a really good time. It always is. But how's everything been going?
It's really exciting. We start tomorrow in Columbia. And why do we start in Columbia, Tennessee? Well, because it's the home of Farm Bureau Health Plans, our sponsor. And I love Murray County, and they've gotten Mule Day back in, and so we're returning to a bit of normal. And we're going to be at the Visitors Center doing the OTP tomorrow with our entire Titans Radio on-air crew. That's Rhett Bryan, that's Coach Mack, that's Amy Wells, and that's myself, and we'll be there at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and then at Martin's on 4th at 3 o'clock on Sunday, and then we're going to Western Kentucky on Monday. We're going to be in the Harbaugh Club, and we're excited about that. We're going to Tennessee Tech on Tuesday, and Larry Stone's going to join us there. And then Wednesday we're going to be in Jackson, Tennessee, and Thursday we're going to be at UT Martin. So we're getting out. Hopefully we're going to have a chance to meet with some broadcast students. That's one of the reasons we're going to 3 schools. We've got a few interesting Titans stories to tell at these different places from connections. Coach Mack is going to do Coach Mack stuff, as he likes to say. Rhett Bryan is going to be with us. We're certainly going to be talking about a lot of draft and anything that goes on. And so there are a lot of really good Titans podcasts. We try to fill a niche as the official Titans podcast because this is the one the team does. And we've always wanted to take it out. COVID kept us from taking it out earlier. And now we're excited to have this opportunity starting in Columbia tomorrow at 3 o'clock at the Visitors Center.
Mike, is it true that
here we go.
Many people, and I've been reliably told you're included in this group of many people, are hoping Amy Wells has the baby on the bus?
I've got no comment on that.
Mike,
I'm not getting near that one. We are in the window now where anything is possible. And so I don't want to speak into words anything that could actually come true. There is a member of my family who has medical training. It is not I.
I just have a feeling Coach Mack delivering that baby is a story that needs to exist.
Well, it might improve ratings for the OTP. A lot of people it would be the only podcast in America where we could say, subscribe to this and a kid might be born.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? But no, I'm not for that.
What's the drop that Coach Mack has? Are you guys in line? I didn't know you were in line.
Yeah, that's Were you up first? I didn't know.
But Mike, you mentioned something. People in the chat are asking me, like, what are you talking about? Mule Day.
Yeah, what is Mule Day?
You got to fill me in here.
You've never been to Mule Day?
Never heard of Mule Day.
Oh, Columbia is famous for James K. Polk, for Lindsey Nelson, and for Mule Day.
Huh.
Mule Day is a great festival, and if you've never seen it, it's so much fun. Everybody in Murray County takes pride in it. People come from around the country and around the world for Mule Day. It is so much fun.
That's crazy. You got Ron Slay in the chat.
Where we celebrate the mule, who was such an important part of our economy, hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
I see it.
The
March
reliable
28th.
mule.
March 28th through April 3rd, Mule Day 2022 in Columbia.
And it was huge. I mean, literally thousands of people come for Mule Day.
Wow.
And the parade is there are some great parades in Middle Tennessee. I don't know that they're any better than the Mule Day parade.
Are there like Moscow mules being drank in high volumes?
I would assume yes, especially with downtown Columbia has become rather Tony. It is very fun, and there are a lot of great places to shop. Where we're going to be tomorrow, there's a Puckett's down there. There's a great ice cream place down there. There are art galleries and really cool shops down there. So I would guess that, yes, you could get a Moscow mule somewhere in downtown Columbia. If you haven't been, in all seriousness, if you haven't been to downtown Columbia, and you're one of those people who likes to visit really cool places with your spouse or your kids, it is really, really super. They've done a fantastic job down there.
I know the mayor of Columbia, too. Chaz Mulder is his name. He married a girl from my hometown. I'm friends with him on social media. He never invited me. Chaz, you never invited me to Mule Day.
That's because his name's Chaz.
What's the world?
You should be riding in the front at Mule Day, Ramon.
Chaz, we don't have to have a talk.
I mean, that is an oversight. That's like you not being on the PA at the Nashville International Airport.
Oh, there you go.
There he is.
There are some oversights that I have observed that we certainly need to get squared away here to right the wrongs, if you will.
Yeah.
Have fun this weekend, Mike. Should be some great events.
Well, we're going to have a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for letting me mention it, because we're excited about the OTP and the way it's grown, and hopefully it will continue to do so.
Indeed. Yes. They'll be in Columbia tomorrow as part of the Mule Day festivities. For 75 years, Tennesseans have been relying on Farm Bureau health plans, headquartered in Columbia, Tennessee, for their health care coverage. Why? Better rates, better coverage, better service. Schaefer taking shots in our ear about Columbia.
That's not true.
Just because we can't prove it? Is that all you're saying?
I don't know what you're talking about.
If you haven't been to downtown Columbia, I mean, they've got running water.
Oh, yeah,
that's one of the things he said.
I did not say that.
JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
What?